Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're taking a closer look at the Gita, specifically verses 16 to 21 in chapter 9. Our mission, really, is to explore this idea of God as, well, the giver of our happiness. How does that actually work?
It's a really vital question. People pray all the time, asking for things. But whether those wishes are fulfilled, and maybe more importantly, how satisfying that fulfillment is, well, that comes down to two things inside the person praying: their preferences and their impressions.
Right. And understanding those two, preferences and impressions, and we'll get to knowledge later. For you listening, grasping, this is almost like a shortcut. It helps you figure out why you want what you want, and why sometimes getting what you want brings peace, and while other times it just doesn't last.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit. So, preferences first, they seem pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah.
Just our accumulated likes, dislikes, everything we've gathered over time.
Exactly. And they shape so much. I mean, everything from your goals today, your long-term plans, even which deity you might feel drawn to pray to, and how hard you're willing to push for those goals too, presumably.
Absolutely. The quantum of effort, as you might say.
Yeah.
That's all driven by preferences, what you value, what you like.
Okay, so that's the wanting part. But then you mentioned impressions. How do they fit in?
Right, so preferences drive the desire. But impressions, think of them as the result of your past actions. Actions get classified, good, bad, indifferent. God looks at this sort of balance sheet. Your impressions determine whether the circumstances are right for that wish to actually be granted.
Yeah.
It's based on that ratio of good and bad.
Ah, okay. So the desire comes from preferences,
Correct.
but whether it actually happens depends on impressions, on your past beats.
Precisely. The desire is shaped by preferences. The successful granting of the wish depends on impressions.
That clarifies the link between what we do and what we receive. But, where does knowledge come into play? Because you mentioned it earlier.
Ah, yes. Knowledge. This is where it gets really interesting. See, even if a wish is granted, let's say your preferences were strong, your impressions were positive enough, whether you actually gain lasting happiness from it, that hinges on your level of knowledge.
So knowledge is different from preferences. Preferences tell you what you want.
What seems desirable at the moment, yes.
But knowledge tells you what's actually good for you, what's appropriate in the long run.
Exactly that. Preferences might lead you to want something that isn't ultimately beneficial. Knowledge is the filter. It's the wisdom aspect.
I remember that example from the text, the child with the chocolate.
Oh yes, a perfect illustration.
The child prefers the immediate pleasure of chocolate over, say, a $100 bill, right? Because they lack the knowledge to understand the true value.
Precisely. Their limited knowledge makes them choose the lower temporary pleasure.
And that applies to adults too, just on a different scale.
Absolutely. People with, let's say, lower levels of this spiritual knowledge tend to seek temporary sensual pleasures, things that fade. And God, in his role, facilitates them getting those things, according to their impressions, of course.
But for those with higher knowledge?
Well, they seek something different. They aim for non-diminishing happiness, undisturbed peace, everlasting security. And God guides them differently towards that ultimate goal because their knowledge directs their seeking that way.
So this really reframes how we should view God in this whole process. It sounds like we need to see God not just as someone who fulfills requests, but as the actual destination we're aiming for.
That is the critical insight, yes. If you treat God merely as a means to get somewhere else, somewhere your preferences pointed you, he will fulfill that role. He'll be the means.
But there's a catch.
There's a big catch. Once you reach that destination you chose, that temporary goal, you'll find it's not enough. You'll feel insufficient. And immediately you'll start looking for the next destination. The cycle just repeats. Desire, temporary fulfillment, dissatisfaction, new desire.
It's like a treadmill.
Exactly. And this goes on, maybe for lifetimes, until there's a realization. The realization that treating God as the destination itself, not just a transit stop, is the only way to break that cycle. That's where lasting peace lies.
That really ties it all together, this interplay between what we instinctively want, our preferences, what our past actions permit, our impressions,
Right.
and then the crucial filter of our understanding, our knowledge, all orchestrated, in a way, by the divine response.
It's a beautiful, intricate system.
So for you listening, maybe the final thought is to reflect on your own goals right now.
Yes, ask yourself, are these goals driven mainly by temporary preferences, a desire for fleeting gain? Or are they guided by a deeper knowledge, one that seeks that non-diminishing happiness, that true security? Because understanding that that changes everything.